The first state of Samadhi, for example, the Vitarka Samadhi. What does it even mean to have tarka? Tarkana, reflection. But in here, Vitarka is a technical term which means having external object in addition to other factors, that is the thought, and something deeper to the thought is Ananda, blissful state, and the ego. So when a yogi enters into Vitarka Samadhi, that is, he's in this absorption state, his mind is completely serene and focused, one-pointed, he's attentive, but he has an object. But in addition to that object, that he has also the awareness of its externality. That he is well aware that he is not that object and there is the subject, cognizing that object outside. There is this sense of object being placed outside, and then there is awareness of temporality. So that involves vicara. So that involves the thought that differentiates, that differs from the bare object. So if I'm meditating upon an elephant, and then I have an object elephant, and I also have a thought that is separated from the sense, that is separated from the object, that image. So there are two different types of consciousness in the Vitarka, that I have the bare object as an image, and the thought, the sense of cognizing, a flow of consciousness that grasps, that objectifies and appears in the screen of my mind. Now, when a yogi moves from this external state of vikalpa to pure thought, he moves from the Vitarka Samadhi to Vicara Samadhi. In here, he is only aware of the very process of thinking. There is this consciousness that has left behind the external object, the image consciousness. I am aware of the sensing. That is what vichara is. But in addition to vichara, what also is happening in this state of samadhi is ananda. The yogi is also experiencing the bliss flowing within, and asmita, the ego, the I am. But when a yogi goes deeper, leaves behind the sense of thinking, the process of thinking, and the object of thought, then he enters into this state of pure bliss itself being its object. One should not be confused with this bliss being the fundamental nature, because we will have multiple layers to cross through to get into that pure state of being. And particularly in the Sankhya Yoga, we do not even stress in that Ananda state. But if we explore other texts, particularly Buddhist Tantric text or Shaiva Tantric text, we encounter 4 different stages of blissful states, or 6 different stages of blissful states, or 7 stages of bliss, and sometimes 4 multiplied by 4, making 16 different stages of bliss. And there's just like later tantras derived from this yogic method of staying focused on bliss to the manifold states, internal variations of the bliss. In the state of bliss, a yogi is neither aware of the object, not aware of the objective consciousness, object-oriented consciousness, only that there is a pure flow of bliss. So what this suggests is that blissful state is not conditioned upon having that object. So I encounter something, I see a friend for a long time I hadn't even seen, and my heart just opens up, I'm happy. But at that time, that happiness, I can release the image of release the event of encountering my friend, or I enjoyed music, or I drank some good juice or something, and then I'm in a blissful state, so I can free my mind from those objects and only stay focused on that bliss state alone. even liberating my ego from the thoughts. Now, when a yogi moves further within, to the inner core of his being, not the ultimate core of his being, but in the cognitive state of the core of his being, he encounters his own ego. He directly confronts Asmita or Ahamkara, Asmi, I am, ta-ness, the sense of being present. So this Asmi has the sense of presence. And this sense of presence is itself Ahamkara. I am also means my beingness, my being present. So this is how these four states of Samprajnata, cognitive states of Samadhi, appear. There the commentators give an example of an archer. Like an archer first looks into his target and then first starts shooting arrow, and then his focus narrows down and further narrows down and further, and ultimately his eyes, his gaze is so subtle, so focused that he's looking into the bullseye, just directly at the center, the heart. So the same way, a yogi meditating upon different stages moves from Vitarka, the external object, a support, where dharana, the tremendous practice of dharana in the tantric texts come a lot, and in here too they are hinted by Patanjali, that we have the image, we have various forms of deities, hands, gestures. So from the Vitarka level to moving all the way deeper state of ego only, aham only. So this is ekatmika samvid. What happens in the aham, when I am encountering and confronting my own ego, what happens then is the consciousness at that state has only one object, eka atman. It turns into a singular nature of only ego, because in other states we have multiple objects, like external objects or the thoughts or the bliss flowing. In the case of confronting the ego, encountering the ego, there's just only one object there presented in front.